if you had anything to say to your dad, what would be that one most important thing? And then what's the one thing you would want to say to your son?
It's not shit, Dad. It's grass, and it'll grow back. From that point on, he was like, "Don't you ever fucking say that ever fucking again."
This is an international podcast transmission. Is anyone out there? If you're listening, you've reached the No Fixed Agenda podcast.
I have no interest in going to Mexico at all.
What I'm going to pick on you today, but go ahead.
That's fine.
What scares you about Mexico?
Nothing scares me about Mexico. I just would rather go to. I hate to say this. I'd rather go to first world countries.
God, I love it. I love it. You obviously have not been to Mexico recently then.
You know I'm bougie, so it's.
Oh, dude, some of these places, man, they are bougie. Tulum, bougie.
Yeah, I know.
Bougie, bruh. And it was beautiful. But I think you would truly enjoy going to Mexico City.
I would like to see
and
Mexico
I
City.
think you would truly enjoy going to Guadalajara.
Maybe.
No, you would. And I'll tell you why. Because there's some really bougie places that are not that expensive and they're beautiful. And you, like me, like history.
Yes.
And there's a shit ton of it.
That's true.
And there's so much history, so much culture, and it's not that bad. It's really, I mean, Mexico City felt like Chicago, bro.
I guess I've got so many other places that I would like to go overseas before I start going to places that are connected to the U.S. I still haven't been to Canada either.
Toronto, baby.
I haven't been to Canada. I would love to go to Vancouver. I'd love
But
to
your
go to
dad likes to
Toronto.
be warm, so he won't go to Toronto. he could go to Chicago and be freezing his butt off anyways, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of which.
Speaking of which, yeah. Enough about you and me, all right?
Special guest today.
Special
And
guest.
My dad is in studio with
Yeah,
us.
baby.
And him and my mom are here visiting for the week. And then I brought this up to your attention. And you were like, let's get him on. Let's get him on the let's get him on the show. I got so many questions.
I want to learn about baby Jeff.
So without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Dave Stoner.
Yeah, everybody. If we had like one of those little buds. Yeah, dude. Dave, man. How you been, man? What's going on? How you liking Southern Cal?
Been excellent. Life is good, and Southern Cal is even better. You know, we love coming out here. We don't come out here enough, but
You said
we love coming here, and it's a great place to come. You know, one thing out here, the weather's always perfect all the time. I watched the weather guy on TV the other day, and I thought, you know, he must be somebody that just started because he can't screw up the weather out here. You're always going to be the same. At home, the guy keeps his job and he's only 50% correct. You know?
Facts. Sunny and warm, 70 and sunny all day long. Oh, there's a marine layer. That's about it. That's the extent of our weather here. Yeah.
It's a tough job, but not so tough.
No offense, Heather Lake.
No offense to our forecaster friends.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it earlier. It's been about 3 years since they've been here, but they've consistently come here enough where they've been able to experience a lot of San Diego. They've done a lot of the historical tours, and now they're just living it up on the beach life up in Carlsbad with us. It's
the beach life. Oh, it's rough. It's rough because you guys are still living in the Midwest, right?
Yes, and in fact, we've always lived in the Midwest. Both my wife and myself, we've been. I was born near Los Angeles, but when I was like 5 years old, my dad got transferred to Peoria, Illinois, of all places, and so I grew up in the Peoria area the whole time. And when I got out of school, I went to Illinois, and when I got out of school, I'd have gone anywhere in the country, but so happened that about 20 miles away from where I grew up, they were looking for a canning company vegetable processing operation. They're looking for a management trainee, and so I went there and spent 17 years there, and then I spent I spent 29 years there.
I was going to
Holy
say, come
And
on
then
now.
10 years in the distilling business, in a distillery south of Peoria in Pekin. So I've been in the agri-processing business my whole career. And my wife was from the Midwest also, and from the Peoria area, and we've stayed there, and probably will be till the end.
Till the end. Hopefully not for a much longer time. What part of LA were you born in?
Inglewood.
Inglewood in the house.
Yeah.
Inglewood ain't what it used to be, though.
Well, I know.
Have you been lately?
No, about 8 or 9 years ago, I had occasion I do some volunteer work with the Red Cross, disaster relief work. And we were doing some work out in the Los Angeles area, and I had occasion to go through Inglewood. And I said, "Oh man, I can't believe my parents lived here." But it was
Back then it wasn't. It ain't the same Inglewood. It's not the same Inglewood.
Where'd you grow up at? You grew up.
I was born in LA too, but I was
but
born.
not on that side though.
No, I was in East LA, and so I was born in General Hospital. My mom worked in General Hospital, and so
You were born on a TV show?
I was born on a TV show. Absolutely. I got my start. You did not know this. I got my start early, buddy.
Yeah.
My mom was Nurse A. No, but yeah, my mom was a registered nurse early on, and she had us there, and we lived in Highland Park, and we moved down here when I was like 8, and so we were fleeing a pretty crappy part, but yeah, I go back there now, and I'm like, I am so glad I live here in Southern California, in San Diego.
So you've always been in California then?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I used to go down to Mexico for the summers, and a couple times, like long stays, like 6 months. But so I usually either in Baja California on the west side, just like all the places that you like to go visit that I can't get Jeff to go do, and or in San Diego. So yeah, and I am super spoiled. Every time I travel, I can't wait to get home.
Well, that's a truism, and with me too. I miss my house, and I miss my dog.
The dog love. That's where Jeff gets it from.
You can start to see about 4 days in on his trips.
He's like, "Where's my
You
dog?"
can kind of start to see he's starting to talk about home a little bit more. Starting to talk about their dog a little bit more. Like, oh well, I got this to do. I got this to do at home, and so I can kind of see it when they're out here visiting. And that's always been the case. And to that credit, though, they live on 9 acres of land. 3 acres is house, and it's super quiet. So the serenity of that, right, is kind of what.
Yeah, we're country people. We live near Peoria, Illinois, about 20 miles north of Peoria, Illinois, and Peoria is a fair-sized community, a couple 100,000 people in that area, but we live north of there, out in the country area, and we like to think that we've got all the best things about living in the country. We got neighbors aren't real close, and there's it's just a great area. But we're close enough to Peoria. You can be to the Super Walmart or the local stores in 20 minutes, and so we just love where we are. We're agricultural people, I guess, at heart.
How old are you, Dave?
I'm 77.
77 years old.
Yeah.
And you spent your whole life in Illinois for the most part, other than the first.
I think we moved there when I was 5 years old, I think so.
Talk to me about what it was like growing in the Midwest as a child.
Well, it was great. We lived, in those days, being young, we lived in Peoria, and you could get on your bicycle when you were old enough to learn how to ride a bike, and you could ride the bike all over town like crazy, you know. And we did that, and sometimes even there was no, you know, there was no crime, nothing to be in your way, you know, and you could take your bike to go to the swimming pool or go just wherever you wanted to go. And sometimes for an extra thrill, we go and get on the city bus. And you
can't make this thing go. I'm getting. Go ahead.
Go get that. We go up, and I think you paid a nickel or something like that. And we'd get on the bus just to see where it went, you know, and it'd take us like downtown Peoria, you know, and we'd see different places there. We'd go to the west end, the south end, one thing or another, just to kind of see how it was. And then you ride the bus back up near home, get off the bus.
Wow. Just to get crazy, you get on the bus.
That's what we do in the Midwest.
This is what we do. Like, you want to get crazy? Jump on the public bus, buddy. It'll take you to places you've never seen. I love it.
It was a great life. Of course, back in those days, things were different. You know, you had the YMCA. You went to the YMCA all the time and took your swimming lessons, and you did all the activities there and so forth. You went to day camps in the summertime, Boy Scout camps. Did weekend Boy Scout camps. I used to do those quite a bit. It was just almost an ideal childhood. Sometimes these days when I look around, I see these kids, they don't seem to have time for any of that stuff because they're all playing summer sports or one thing or another, or playing too much on their games. And I really think that, you know, it was kind of an ideal situation, but I guess I don't know any different than that because that's what I experienced.
Simple life, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a very simple life. And then how long you been, when did you meet your wife growing up?
Well, actually I met my wife after college. I went to the University of Illinois.
Okay.
And, you know, when you're 18 years old, you don't know really what you want to do. You know, I thought I wanted to be an electrical engineer because I'd spent a lot of time as a grade school kid and a high school kid tearing apart TVs and radios and messing with that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
I thought I wanted to be an electrical engineer until I went down to Champaign, and I did that for a semester and a half, maybe 2 semesters. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be an engineer, an electrical engineer. I kind of like agriculture. So I transferred into the ag curriculum down there and got a degree in agribusiness.
Okay.
And that's how I got into the food business, the processing world. That's what I got. Anyway, as I got out of school, you know, I moved back up around the Peoria area, and you know, you spend too much time probably frequenting the establishments, the bars and stuff. And I met my wife, of all places, in a bar. You know?
Hey, I met my wife in a bar too, baby. It's been 25 years.
I believe the story goes, my dad was with another woman.
With two
other women.
2 other women. Oh,
2 other
yeah,
women,
baby.
and my mom ended up going home with him or something along those lines. But it ended up being that she stole him away from 2 other women. That's how it worked.
Oh gosh, I love it.
Yeah, those were the days back. Anyway,
You could get in trouble, man.
So we did. We met in the. I think I was headed to the restroom, and so I left these 2 gals sitting at the bar, headed to the restroom, and she stopped me, you know, and started talking to me, and was trying to impress me. I think she told me she went to Penn State.
Oh, I remember this part.
She was from Pennsylvania. She had grown up in Pennsylvania and had moved to the Peoria area. But at any rate, she thought she'd impress me, I guess, and said she was from Penn State. Well, make a long story short, I asked her out on a date, you know, the next day or so. And I don't know that I really ever went out with anybody else since then, you know.
Wow.
So, man, we've been married 51 and a half years now. So it's worked out good. She's been a great wife, a great person. She's don't know how I'd get along without her. You know, and it's
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I always ask people that have been married longer than I have, 2 questions. What's the secret to staying married?
Well, I think the secret is just respecting one another and working hard and saying yes.
She's always right. Yeah. But you point out something that a lot of people that are married young that don't realize that it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It's a crap ton of hard work.
Well, you know, I think it makes your whole life. You have to have a happy life that you're excited about having, and that means like not only you're excited about your wife and you're excited about your family, you're excited about your job, you're excited about your social connections, you know, and you know these days sometimes you look around and people just they don't have a lot of those things in a lot of cases, and I think if once you're in the groove where things are good, you know, I used to be able to wake up in the morning and leap out of bed and be excited about going to work. And you know, so many times you talk to people who work a place for 30 years and they hate every minute of it, you know. But that carries over into your married life, into your social life. Is, you know, I think happiness is something that's hard to come by for some people these days.
Yeah. Well, they don't think they don't. I think a lot of times it's like they don't understand how to define it in a lot of ways, right? What is happiness? And it's like I coach a lot of people, and it's like, what's the perfect body for you all? I don't know. It's like whatever I saw on the internet or something, right? But I think, would you attribute that you understand your happiness because you lived that simple country life?
Well, I think that's got a lot to do with it. But you know, on the other hand, I can't say that I've really done anything different. You know, so it's been the only thing I've done. But yeah, I guess since everything's turned out so good, yeah, it's probably a part of it.
Yeah.
And we still like that. And we still have the same. You know, in a lot of cases, we have the same friends, the same circle of friends that we had 50 years ago. You know, some of those people you're still in touch with as you go along.
That's social goals right there.
Right.
The fact that you can have friends that have been around that long.
Yeah.
Right. I think that says a lot about the people you keep in contact with right there. That core group of individuals, like we've talked about, that core five
or six
people,
people that you're always around.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where you get it from, I think.
Oh,
He's a pretty good friend, is what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's really hard to find, you know, I guess people that are like-minded, but more importantly, that are loyal, that are like accepting of you no matter what, right? No matter what your background is. And I think I got that in Jeff for sure, right? And so you did a good job with this guy.
Ah, thank you.
So you got married 51 and a half years ago, right? I forgot the half. Met the wife at the bar, which I think there's something to, because didn't you meet your wife at a bar?
For the purpose of this story, we'll say yes.
No. It was close. But
we met through a mutual friend that she went to college with, and I lived next to in Pacific Beach. We frequented bars,
at the bars?
the bars together, and she pretty much approached me, carried on with got everything started. So
wait a minute.
But,
your wife approached you, his wife approached him.
Hey, the stoners are wanted men.
There you
What can I say?
I met my wife at a bar, but I had to approach her. And then I used her to get into the bar for free.
There's a trick for that.
Yeah, there's a trick. So you met your wife 51 and a half years ago. When did you guys start building a family?
Jeff was our first. We met in like 72 or 73. Got married in 74. Jeff comes along in 76.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
It was quick.
It was quick.
Yep. And I've been the highlight of their life the rest of the way.
Yeah. And then how many kids did you? I know Jeff.
Jeff's got a brother.
A brother,
yeah.
Right?
We had just had two.
Just two. And then how far apart are the brothers?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
And that was it, right? So,
Yeah, it's one of those things. As you go along, you go down the road, and you think, "Oh man, I wish we'd had one more." But by then, it's too late.
yeah. Did you want a girl? Did you want a girl to offset, or were you happy with the two boys?
Well, we were both happy with the two boys, but I think, and Trudy would always say, "Oh, I don't want a girl now. I know how to deal with boys. I can't. I don't want a girl now."
Yeah, you're
true.
lucky because
Yeah.
when you have girls, whew, whew. Nothing against my two daughters, all right? Nothing against them. I love you, Milena. I love you, Amanda. Right? But-
Omar's got 6 kids and
Oh my gosh.
and 1 grandson.
yeah.
Oh my, the
Yeah.
land.
And I'm happy, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm happy now, but yeah,
So
but yeah.
your kids are spread out from like 20 down
Well, there's a story. You ever watching the
Brady.
show The Brady Bunch?
to. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am the Brady Bunch.
Oh,
The
okay.
modern day Brady Bunch.
Okay.
All right. I
Okay.
met my wife at a bar, and she had 3 kids and was divorced and was not looking to remarry. I was recently divorced, and had 3 kids and was not looking to get married.
Ah.
And so we met happenstance. I, like you, was at another bar getting ready to go home with 2 girls. Okay. All right.
So your story.
Yeah,
goes.
yeah. That's my story goes, right? And so, no, it's true. I will pull up the tapes, right? But no, there was my friends. We all went out New Year's Eve, and we went out, and I was in total party mode. I was totally traumatized from my first marriage, and we went to New Year's Eve, and my buddy's like, "Hey, man, we're gonna go to one bar," and we said, great. And then I immediately started talking to some girl, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm getting out of here, dude. It's before New Year's. It's not even New Year's Eve yet. It's not even New Year's yet. It's not midnight. And I'm like, you guys are slow, man. I'm like, come on, man, dude. I was like, fine. So then I ditched that girl, and then I go back to we're in the bar. I was dancing, went to sit at the bar again, and then 2 girls approached me. And they said, have you ever, been with 2 girls? And I said, no, but I'm willing to give it the old. I'll give it the old college try, right? Looked over at my buddies. It's still not midnight, man. You can't leave us. I go, it's like 30 minutes before midnight, dude. I am out of here, right? And they're like, no, come on, man. Come on. We still got to go to the other bar. And I'm like, dude, never in my life had they ever opportunity. And the opportunity has never arose again, okay? And so I walked away from that, which was very rare for me. And this is why I say me and my wife were supposed to meet. We left that bar to go to some other bar that were serving pozole. You know what pozole is?
No,
It's like a soup that's made out of pork or beef, and it has like hominy, like cornmeal in it and stuff like that, right? It's very good. It's a traditional Mexican dish that they usually serve around New Year's. And so we're like, we're gonna go have pozole. Come on, we gotta go to this other bar, and it was closer to the border, so. I'm like mad. I'm like, you guys are lame. Yeah, da 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 da. And as soon as we parked the car, we parked into this place. The place was called Over the Border, and I get out of the truck, and it was 4 of us. The other 3 are barely stumbling out of the truck. I pop out of the truck, and I see this blonde girl with a big old buddy, and I was like, ooh. And I go, hey, how's it in there? And she's like, oh. And I'm talking to her in Spanish, and she's like, it's fine. It's good. And I goes, it's still, yeah, the environment's really good. And I started just like, what's your name? And then I started we walked in together, and there was like a $50 cover charge or something like that. And I was like, because it's New Year's. And I was like, and so she walked up too, the security comes up, looks at her, looks at me, and he passes me through. My other buddies are paying $50 to get in, dude. And I'm like, dude, I told you guys are too slow, right? And then so we started talking, and immediately I took her out to dance. And we danced all the way through the night to the point where the music stopped playing and we were still dancing. And I said, dang, this girl's something. We just hit it off, right? I made a date with her. I said, hey, I'll call you. And I purposely waited 7 days to call her back. And she was like, I thought for sure you weren't going to call me. And then she tells the story now. Called her back 7 days later. And she's like, and we both had the same idea. I dressed down tremendously for our date because I wasn't trying to get serious. And she purposely dressed down, right? And not super sexy because she didn't want to be in a relationship. We ended up hitting it off. We went on that date. The following weekend, we were gonna set another date for 2 weeks because she had something to do. Well, we were at a club again after we had our date, and we ran into each other. And I looked at her. She looked at me. She goes, "What are you doing here?" She goes, "I'm on a date." With some other dude, right? And she goes, "What are you doing here?" "I'm on a date with some other girl." and so we were like, we got together. We ended up going out again. And then the rest is history. We ended up stopped dating other people. We were just hanging around. But for 5 years, and neither one of us wanted to get married.
Well, and that's
And so when the 7 years came around, we finally got married.
well, that's good. When everything worked out great, that's
Yeah,
good.
We got married on our lunch breaks.
Ah.
At the courthouse, and went back to work after we were married, and that was 24 years ago.
Ah.
So so I can relate to your story of meeting your wife at a bar, and your wife,
Yeah, and she's been great. And when you talk about getting married, I told her, I said, I'm in the agricultural business. I can't do anything in the spring and the summer and the fall. There's too much work. So if we're going to get married, we need to get married in February. And so, like our whole life revolved around the wintertime. We got married in February. Our kids came early in the year. We had our house. Everything came to the wintertime. That's when you did things, when I wasn't working. So
what was it like raising a young Jeff?
it was.
No, yeah, pretend he's not here, okay? Look at.
Well, he was a good kid and didn't give me a lot of trouble. One of the things in respect to Trudy, because I was working so much and because I worked so many hours, she probably did more to raise Jeff and Scott than I did. I would take off work, come home, and if they were going to a ball game or something, I'd maybe go to a ball game, then I'd go back to work. And but it was he was a good kid, and somehow along the line came up with good attitudes, a good work ethic, and good head on his shoulders, and it was it wasn't a real tough task raising kids. But again, in respect to Trudy, I didn't probably do my part either. I didn't quite do as much as I could have. But
well, I think I should be talking. I got to meet Trudy, bro. Look at.
She'll probably tell you a lot of different stories, but I don't think so. I think I would to everything though. Growing up in a small town, it's harder to find things to get in trouble with.
Well, what does trouble look like in a small town?
I will tell you, there's.
Because I know what trouble looks like in a big city, with a bunch of
so there's not really. Growing up in a town of 1,400 people.
Yeah.
Everybody knows your business.
Facts.
So it's really tough to have those opportunities where you go out and go to a party or go to, you're going out with somebody on a date or whatever it is. Everybody in town knows what's going on, and that's the problem. And I think there's, when I got into high school, there's a little bit more you can get away from. I spent a lot of time in Peoria with my friends in Peoria, and I was lucky enough that a lot of the people I hung out with in Peoria were like right on the edge, so they went to small schools still in Peoria. So there's some things there's probably a few things that they don't know. I'm happy to tell you right now.
Ooh.
So remember I had that scooter?
Yeah.
That black little scooter.
Was it an electric scooter?
No, you're like a moped.
No, it was a
like a motorized moped.
Like a moped.
Yeah, like
right?
Today's version of an e-bike.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's just a moped.
Yeah.
But it wasn't electric or anything like that.
It was all gas.
It was all gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I snuck out of the house a few times on that thing to go meet a girlfriend. I don't think you guys ever knew that.
Rudy, sorry.
Yeah. That was a little tricky because the way the house was set up, so you kind of had to maneuver around. Luckily, their room was on the very far end of the house, and my brother and I had rooms right up on top of the stairs. So you kind of, at that point in time, they didn't have any security cameras. The problem is because the only thing that I could drive was that goddamn moped. 'Cause I don't even know if I was 16 yet. I must have been 15, I guess. Anyway, I had to go into the garage. You couldn't open the garage door up, right? So I had to open up the actual door. You have to walk. I had to walk the moped, and the way their house goes is the road winds around the front of their house. So I actually had to walk. I had to walk the moped all the way, maybe a quarter mile, till I got way past the house downhill, so you couldn't hear it turn on, and because they had one of those motors, right, like really loud motors. So there was a couple of times that I did, and the same thing when coming back, and we only lived a mile from outside of town.
Okay.
So it was not that long of a distance. So it's the same thing. You come home, you gotta turn the motor off and walk it up, and it's a little bit of an uphill battle.
Was it like a middle of the night, dude? Are we talking like 1 in, 2 in? What are we talking? I mean, if we're gonna tell the story, then you're gonna confess to that.
I think it must have been around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that happened twice. Same girlfriend, happened twice, but
Obviously didn't work out.
obviously definitely wasn't that kind of relationship.
Oh gosh, 29 years at the canning factory. What was the name of the canning factory?
Well, it had various names as we went along. When I first went there, it was a privately held company, and it went by the name Joan of Arc, named after the gal in France. And we had, at that point in time, we had 4 different facilities, one there in Princeville, Illinois, and 2 in Louisiana, and one over in Eastern Illinois, at Hoopeston, Illinois. And so I went there, and it was a small, fairly small company, family oriented and so forth. But what was great, I got the experience. Here I am, a kid just out of college. I get to kind of experience how the business world works, and you got to see things like how people put advertising together, what they do for promotions, and what we do with the accounting. I mean, it was a great deal. But so I worked for them for a number of years, and then in the mid 80s, you have a situation with a privately held company. By the time you get to the 3rd generation, the kids aren't too interested in the business anymore, so it gets sold. And so at that point in time, I went to work for the Pillsbury Company, Pillsbury Green Giant. In those days, half the Pillsbury business was processing, which was like the Doughboy and the bread products, and Green Giant vegetables. So we were part of the Green Giant world. And the other half of the Pillsbury business was restaurants. They owned in those days Burger King and Steak and Ale, Godfather's Pizza. And so I spent a few years with Pillsbury, and I got to associate with these guys. Not only did I learn the Green Giant way in the vegetable business, but you go to corporate meetings and you get to hear them talking about restaurants and different things. I mean, it was a great learning experience to do that. And then eventually though, they got bigger and they started selling off parts of the company, and it was acquired again by a privately held company, and we were back to this kind of the same way, a smaller company, but we still were in the vegetable business. Peas, corn, green beans, pumpkins, asparagus. So I worked for this other privately held company for like 10 years or so, and then 3rd generation type thing again. And at that point in time, I went to work for Chiquita Brands, the banana people. Banana people. So they were in the banana business big, but they wanted to get into the fruit and vegetable business. So they bought some canning and processing companies, and wanted to kind of blend that in with the banana business. And that was a great experience for me because I got to learn about bananas, spent some time in Costa Rica at banana processing plantations down there. But I was with them, I don't know, for 6 or 7 years or so. Anyway, I left them and went into the distilling business.
Like alcohol?
Like alcohol.
What?
Around central Illinois, we raise a lot of corn and soybeans.
Yeah.
And a lot of that corn, if it isn't exported, down the river and out the Gulf, it gets turned into ethanol or alcohol products. And so I worked at a distillery, and we turned corn into ethanol, which is what goes into gasoline. That was about 80% of our business. The other part of our business was pharmaceutical and industrial and beverage alcohol. We made vodka and gin and so forth.
Wow.
And that was a good caper. And I did that for 10 years, doing that. And so it was I had a fantastic career. And all the time I was always dealing with farmers and grain elevators and agriculture. And that's why I guess I love living in the country and love farming. I retired and I couldn't get away from that. Couldn't bring myself to totally be away from it, and I had a family that I met at church years back, and they asked me when I retired if I wanted to come and help with the harvest in the fall,
Yeah.
I said, oh man, I'd love to do that. Well, that was like 13 years ago I started. Wow. So I love still picking corn and beans and so forth.
Yeah. You have your own farm now on your property?
No, I don't have farmland. That's one of those things, if you could turn back the clock when I was a lot younger, probably if I'd have invested in some farm ground, that would have been a good investment. But no, I don't have any land actually, except for where the house is now, that 9-11 acres that Jeff talked about. But I do have on that property, we have pasture. Most of it's in pasture. The house is there, and I've got pastures there, and I rent that pasture ground to a neighbor who raises Clydesdale horses.
I've heard the story of the Clydesdales, and I can't wait. We're gonna go to Chicago again in November, right?
We are, but we're not going to have a chance.
Dang it, man. I want to go see the Clydesdale. I just want to see his reaction to the Clydesdale so I can record it.
I'm used to the Clydesdales down there.
Yeah.
That's easy. It's the getting on a horse. That's what you're talking about, but I won't get on those.
Yeah.
I think the question you really want to ask.
I want to know. Yeah, go ahead.
The question you really want to know about.
This is why I'm going down the path.
I've told him this story, but he wants to know more about the pit.
I want to know about your side of the pit. Story. All right. I've heard his side, but there's always three sides of the story, right? Yours, his, and the truth. So I've heard his.
And I don't know if he knows the full story.
Do you know the full story of the pit?
Do you probably know part of it, but not all of it?
What he is. So I explained what the pit was at the canning company, right? And that's part of the spot I worked at. The story that I told was being buried by the green beans. And I can't remember that day. You ended up showing up, I think, after they pulled me out, or because you didn't show up when I was.
I wasn't there when you were in the beans.
Yeah,
no.
so I was. He had just showed up when I got pulled out.
What was your thought? First of all, how'd you find out that he got buried in the beans?
Well, it's one company and one operation, and
when you're the son of the manager.
Yeah, go ahead.
It just goes real quick.
But what happened is, in those days, we would buy. We were making 3-bean salad, and in 3-bean salad, you'd have green beans and wax beans and kidney beans and so forth, and we have to process all those beans and put them together to make the salad. And these beans, a lot of times we would we raised a lot of them nearby that would come in smaller trucks, but in a lot of cases, we would have semi-loads of green beans that we would buy from like Tennessee or, up in northern Wisconsin, one thing or another. We would buy some beans. And sometimes when we unloaded those, we'd unload them onto a slab of concrete.
Okay.
So you'd have a big pile of beans.
Yeah.
And then we would use, we had a tractor with a big plow type arrangement on it, and we'd use that to push these beans into a pit. And the pit had a meter bottom in it that we could set the speed, and it was like a big draper chain that moved real slow and fed the beans into the processing plant.
Yeah.
And
it was down in that pit that I think Jeff got covered up in the beans.
it was one of the times the truck came directly in, and we had to open up the back of the truck. And as the whole entire dump truck aspect of it raises up, the beans get stuck in the door jamb, right? So you're picking at it with a pitchfork or whatever, and then when you hit the right spot, it's like an avalanche, man. The thing just came down and buried me all the way up to my neck, and they, at the time, the lucky part of it is if it would have been in today's age, A, that would never be a job, but B, there would be cell phones all over the place taking photos of it.
Recording it, yes, dude.
Posting on Instagram and TikTok right from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough that nobody had phones, because this was in the early 90s early 90s. So I was lucky in the fact that there's no evidence of it.
Damn it.
Yeah.
But I also want to know about the story when you cut the lawn.
Yeah, I told him that after he's talking about the story where you're the only time that you ever really got mad at me.
Was that when you mowed the grass at the canning company?
Yes.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
I mowed it. I had one side higher on the mower than the other, and it was all on level. And you had made a comment about it, and I think I was a smart ass about it right in front of your secretary and some other people. And
do you remember this? Do you recall this, Eric?
I just recall the incident happening. I don't remember the details of how it was.
What was the? Do you remember what the incident was?
It just that I thought it had to do also with the landscape bushes too. Didn't he have an occasion there where you cut them uneven or something?
I think that was all part of it. I think when it all came said and done, the mistake of it all was I was trying to be a smart ass. I was being a smart ass in front of his employees.
What's a smart ass though?
I was
like, yeah. Define smart ass, bro. Like,
I don't remember the exact terminology, but he was like, you need to go out and level everything off, the grass, the bushes, everything else. And I made some kind of comment about how it's mowed already, and it something about the aesthetic of it or something, I'm sure, because everything is all tapered in, right? And so I made some random comment about that, and I wish I could remember exactly what I said. And I know what it was. He said, "You need to go out and fix that shit." And I said, "It's not shit, Dad. It's grass, and it'll grow back." And it was right in front. And then he was like, that moment where you see just fire starting to pop in the eyes, and he's like, "You need to come outside." So, and from that point on, he was like, "Don't you ever fucking say that ever fucking again." And I was like, "Okay," said, done. And I went and fixed the lawn and never really did anything like that ever again. I was always made sure that the lawn was mowed exact the rest of the way. And
I think when he did that mowing the grass, I'm not so sure that wasn't before you had worked in the bean plant.
That was prior to me working at the factory.
Yeah, before you were 16.
I was
You-
honestly probably 14
Yeah.
ish around that point in time. So yeah, it was prior to me getting into the factory. So those are those jobs that kids just don't do nowadays, right? The mow the lawn and
What is that?
exactly.
But he was a good worker. Despite the trouble mowing the grass and so forth, he was he was very, very good when he came to working in the vegetable business and the canning business. His work ethic showed up. He worked hard there.
That's right. It was. I think the hardest job I ever had was sitting there on the conveyor belt with the beans, and you're sitting there having to pick out all of the stems
Yeah.
and all of the other shit that comes through. That's the hardest job for anybody because it becomes like this trance. Like you just see beans just go across the conveyor belt, and you're sitting
That
there
was in the days
falling asleep at the
in the days before they had cameras. Nowadays all that's done
Digitally.
electronically
Yeah.
with cameras and so forth.
Yeah.
And there's some discolored bean or a stem or something in there. Bingo! It kicks it out automatically.
Yeah.
But there was back in the day. You had a lot of those inspection type jobs. Where somebody had to look. But I think you spend most of your time though cleaning stuff up and doing.
Oh yeah, I was a janitor for a while. That was okay. It was mostly just washing all the concrete stuff off underneath the equipment stuff. But I will say I'm glad that I did that though. I mean, I think that's kind of what's missing nowadays is
that hard labor job, character building job?
Is the character building manual labor jobs. Like there's so many young kids nowadays that are like, I want to be a social influencer, a creator, and they don't want to put the manual effort into it. So I'm glad that I did that when I was young. It also, for the most part, during the summertime, it kept me out of trouble for the most part. I mean, other than that, it was, again, small town. You're doing your sports programs and your teams and stuff that kind of keeps you engaged into that. But there is one story. So I want to wrap this up in a little bit. There is one story that I do want to tell that nobody has ever heard, and I've refused to tell this story until I just decided today I would tell it because it's concerning Scott too.
Does he know this?
No, my parents don't know this.
Don't know the story.
This
Oh,
is
this, is,
So-
this is good.
So I was a senior in high school. My brother's 3 years younger, so he was a freshman.
Okay.
So a lot of my friends, brought my brother on, as part of the friend group because he was always
There.
He was always with me, always there.
Mm-hmm.
He played sports with a lot of my friends, across the board, whether it's summertime or high school programs, whatever, right? So we're out at their house, being that we were basketball players. We had a hoop out there and nice little driveway space. So
Scott plays basketball too.
Yeah.
Right? He's a big basketball guy.
So we're out there one summer day. I don't remember it. Anyway, I got one friend of mine who's out there. We're all just playing one-on-one and doing some shit out there, and my brother has a little bit more of a temper than I do. Right? It takes a lot for me to get upset and angry, whereas my brother can snap like a firecracker. He can go off.
Agree, disagree, dude.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I'm like my dad in that sense, and he's like my mom, and my mom can get
Like
pretty,
a fire.
she's got a fire underneath it too. But anyway, so we're playing one-on-one, and and I'm playing one-on-one against my brother at this point in time, and I don't remember what incited this, but I think I was kind of making fun of him, or I was like really just beating the shit out of him when it comes to the game, and we're all kind of just messing around, joking around, and Scott goes into the garage and takes a shovel. And he seriously swings it at my face.
Oh my God! I didn't know that.
No, I have never told this story.
Oh my
He
land!
literally, and Chad Hefke was my friend that was and Chad's never mentioned this either, at least not to my knowledge. It was kind of one of those things where we just, like, what the fuck just happened? And we just kind of like, everybody quietly just was like, we're never going to talk about this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, literally Scott took a shovel, like one of those long ass shovels, and like full on baseball swing at my head. And he missed me by like a foot and a half.
Oh, man.
And I was like, wow.
I didn't know that. Didn't
Wow.
know that.
Okay. And literally, he threw it down. We all kind of looked at each other. We're like, okay, let's go inside. And I will say it was a little bit weird for a little bit, but I was kind of like, we're never going to speak about this ever again.
No,
So that's the first time I've ever told that.
I never knew anything
I was
about
never.
that.
I was honestly. I was never going to tell your mom about that, and I've never actually even talked to Scott about that. It was kind of like, literally one of those things that you do when you're a kid. You're just like, okay, this stays
Between us.
This stays here.
This is. I mean, I have a similar story when I beat I was playing with the stick outside, and it was like a big rod, but I was just twisting around. I didn't intentionally hit my brother, but my younger brother, I gave him a concussion. Like I whacked the hell out of him. It was not intentional that way at all, though. It was just.
Well, his wasn't.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like I know that he wasn't intending to hit me.
He was
at
just
all.
mad.
I think there's part of it when you've got this like camaraderie like, with the sports thing, and you feel like, oh, we're all friends here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and be funny and whatever.
Yeah.
And that happened, and you're just like, okay, that was not really supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So
I love the father-son relationship, and look, I'm about to get mushy. For me, I did not have that. So the father-son relationship was non-existent me as a child. However, I was there. I have a very good father-son relationship with all my sons, right? They all were. It's great, but learning how that dynamic worked growing up as a man was difficult, right? And so there was a question that I like to ask, or a statement, better yet said, or a question that I would ask the son, right? Because it was asked to me. Like, what would you, if you had anything to say to your dad, what would be that one most important thing? And then vice versa, Dad, what's the one thing you would want to say to your son? Right?
Right.
And so I don't know if that's too deep for you guys, but
No, I
but
don't.
like if you had one last opportunity to say something to your dad, what would be the one thing that you would say to him?
Well, it's funny. You stated that mom was more like raised us more, right? And I never really saw that though. I don't. So when you said that, I was kind of took that as no, I don't think so. I understand that you were at work a lot more, and that was a big part of it. But, and I can say this from Scott's perspective too. I don't think either one of us ever really felt that you weren't around from that perspective, and I appreciated, and I still do appreciate the value that you gave to both of us, the values you instilled in both of us. Like I work my ass off now because what I saw him do when I was growing up. I understood the meaning of putting in a hard day's work and still being there. You came to our games. You picked us up from practice when you needed to. So don't ever say that you weren't there, because you were. So I definitely work my ass off to this day because of what I saw him do and what I saw you do. So thank you is what I would have to say.
Well, what I was going to say was one of my things. I thought I didn't pay enough attention to the kids growing up.
Wow.
Jeff just said that I did, but I do think if I had to do over again, that's probably something I would be more aware of, and it may be because of in today's society when you look at it, parenting is terrible. There's a lot of bad parenting goes on these days, where you see where parents don't associate with the kids the way they should and so forth. And I guess as I look back, I think, well, I should have done a better job. Jeff just said I did pretty good, but so that's a good thing. But you know,
So-
we've had a good life though. It's been.
So if you had one meaningful thing that you would want to say to your son, both, it could be applied to Scott, but Jeff's in the room, so what would that one thing be?
Oh, you're putting him on the spot now.
Yes, I am. I am 100%. Because he has 70 plus years of experiencing in parenting. Let me put some foundational work here. One of the things that you just said to me gave me chills because I lived that life that you just pointed out. In today's society, there's not a whole lot of men that know how to raise their children or daughters, sons, or just be present, right? So you have a father-son relationship here, and you're a great man, I can tell, because I agree with Jeff with what he just said wholeheartedly. I strived as a young man to look for a male role model to mirror after, right? And I see Jeff's work ethic. We're texting each other at midnight because we're both up working, right? And so that work ethic that you instilled in him was simply because he watched you, right? And so, like, what would be the one thing that you would want your sons to know that you've never said to them before?
Well, I'm not sure I know, but one thing it would be continue to work hard. You know, don't give up, don't slack off. That's one. The second thing is continue good relationships with the people around you. I think it's so important that you like the people and you like what you're doing. You get excited about life. You know, try and be you know, upbeat. Look for the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think that's I've been so blessed and so fortunate that, like I said earlier, I love what I did for a career. I've loved the people I've been around, and I think that's worth a lot.
It's very wise advice, and I'm gonna give you a compliment, Dave. I see a lot of that in this man, and so there's not a lot of human beings that I know, and I know a lot of people, and we have a lot of relationships, he and I together in just our circle, right? And there's one thing that stands out to me that I enjoy about hanging around Jeff is that he doesn't do anything that doesn't make him happy or that doesn't add value to the people around him. And it's a very hard thing to be around. It's a very pleasant thing to be around, but it's also a very hard thing in today's society that most men, particularly men, right, don't have, right? Because to your point, they're walking around miserable, they're doing jobs that they hate, and I purposely don't hang around those kind of people, right? I want to understand what happiness is, right? And so he's a good checks and balance for me as a friend, right? To be able to go, dude, are you all right? Like, hey, what's up? And it's the simple things, right? It's just the true pursuit of what happiness is, right? And if I'm miserable, I have no qualms telling him. And if he's pissed off, he has no qualms telling me. But you did a phenomenal job raising this man, and I have yet to meet Scott. So one day, hopefully, I would be able to meet that man. But
thank you. He's been good.
He's been good.
He's good.
But pat yourself on the back. You were there.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you what, his mother has been excellent too. I mean, you know, it takes two to make it work, you know, and that's you know, that's part of the relationships and the social, you know, getting together and everything. But his mother's been very good too.
We'll end with this. When somebody once told me, your job as a parent is to screw your kids up less than your parents screwed you up. And I think
Yeah,
I think I did that job as my kids. One day we'll have I already have my daughter in here, so she did tell me that I was pretty awesome. And, but yeah, we'll end it with that. Thank you, Dave, for coming in, dude, and give us a little insight about what raising Jeff was like.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a great experience. I really love meeting you.
Thank you.
I feel like I want to know you more.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, here we go.
We're done. We're done.
Well, we're gonna be getting together here. I think Jeff sent us an invite. I think you guys are gonna get together before.
And one of these times, you need to get to Princeville, and when you're in the Midwest, you need to come down.
I will definitely hold Jeff accountable to that, and it won't be the first time or the last time we're gonna be in Chicago. So there we go.
There you go. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Awesome.